For the last 17 days, Richard RATCLIFFE has been on hunger strike outside the Foreign Office. He's there to urge the government to act and to help free his wife Nazanin from detention in Iran, where she's been since 2016. Today, amongst others, his mother was with him. She said she was keeping a close eye on Richard's health, but she supported the resilience of her desperate son. Our political correspondent, Simon Harris, was there.
Even under layers of clothing, Richard RATCLIFFE feels the cold. The hunger strike is taking its toll on his well-being and his appearance. The North Londoner has spent 17 days fasting at a small squatter camp outside the Foreign Office. He plans to continue his protest for as long as he can without seriously damaging his health.
No hunger strike's healthy, so even by day 17, there'll be a recovery period. It's a question more of permanent damage. And yes, I hope there is no permanent damage done.
The broadcasters Claudia Winkleman and Victoria Corrin Mitchell are among the high-profile supporters who've pitched up at the camp. Today, the Labour leader, Sir Keir Starmer, dropped by for a brief chat.
There has to be a resolution.
Richard is getting regular checks from a doctor, but his mum is also watching closely.
I'm his mum. I didn't bring him into the world to be starving himself, but needs must, so we're keeping a close eye on him.
Are you supportive of what he's doing, even though he's putting himself at risk?
Yes, because he's desperate.
Richard's wife, Nazanin, has been a prisoner in Iran for more than 5 years after being convicted of plotting to overthrow the government. Allegations she's always denied. The Foreign Office maintains it's doing everything it can to free Nazanin Zaghari Ratcliffe. Her husband says it's not enough. He wants ministers to publicly acknowledge she's being held hostage and to finally pay an outstanding debt to the Iranian government. In the 1970s, Britain promised to sell chieftain tanks to Iran's leader, the Shah. But when he was forced into exile by an Islamic revolution, the order was halted, even though money had changed hands.
We as a country owe Iran £400 million, and Nazanin has been told that her imprisonment is directly linked to our failure to pay the money back. So until we pay the money back, my constituent is not coming home.
One problem is there are a whole series of people that make decisions in Iran, and no one will ever make the decision. And secondly, they don't actually want to talk to us about it.
Richard and Nazanin's daughter, Gabriella, has been allowed to visit him. She wants her dad home. But Richard is planning to stay at least until Thursday, when it's thought an Iranian minister is due at the Foreign Office for a meeting. Simon Harris, ITV News, Whitehall.
Good evening. From Montreal to Monaco, Budapest to Barcelona, Formula One has its pick of locations. And now the multi-billion-pound sport could be choosing Newham for its latest racing circuit. ITV News London understands talks between a business consortium and F1 are advanced in their plans for a London Grand Prix. It would take place at the Royal Docks, possibly within the next 2 years. And today, the Mayor also appeared to give the project his backing. He told us the future of our city is east. But how does a gas-guzzling sport fit with his ambition for a greener city? Our political correspondent Simon Harris has the details.
From Silverstone to Silvertown, could this road in East London have its speed limit raised from 30 to 230? As unlikely as it may seem, that's the intriguing possibility after Docklands was floated as the home of a new Formula One road race. The idea has come from America, but politicians here are being asked to get on board. Think of street circuits and you think of Monaco's glamorous waterfront, Baku's ancient fort, Singapore's skyscrapers at night. A Formula One race in this part of East London would have a very different backdrop. In her cafe close to where the race might be run, SANDA is a bit worried about the ear-shattering noise, but more than a little excited.
I think it's a great opportunity for all the businesses around. It's going to bring a lot of customers, it's going to bring a lot of tourists from all over England, to be honest, maybe from even abroad. So it's very exciting.
A Grand Prix on the streets of London isn't a new idea. This parade of Formula One cars through the West End was designed to test the appetite of fans 15 years ago. It attracted huge crowds.
Where the palace is, just over here.
A decade later, Lewis Hamilton was bigging up the idea in a commercial for one of his sponsors. Once again, central London landmarks were prominent. But this time, the racetrack would be relocated to the East End with the backing of the Mayor.
City Hall is moving to East London to help regenerate that part of London. I think the future of our city is East, and we're in talks with F1, and let's see if it happens.
With its thrills and spills, the high-octane world of Formula One commands a massive global TV audience, but it isn't to everyone's taste. And as the mayor set off for another visit to COP26 in Glasgow, the Greens were horrified.
I think a Grand Prix around the streets of London is a terrible idea. That particular area of London in Newham has some of the worst air pollution in London at all, and we know we have a climate emergency and air pollution crisis. The idea that to get out of this we start building tourist or sports attractions, they're going to further exacerbate the climate emergency is a terrible idea, and the mayor needs to reconsider.
It's reported local councillors were briefed about the plans at a meeting at City Hall on Monday. But the US investment firm said to be behind the project, 777 Partners, didn't return our calls, and Newham Council declined to comment. And with Formula One committed to the British Grand Prix at Silverstone, I understand officials don't regard a Docklands race as a priority. Simon Harris, ITV News, Silvertown.